So session 4 of Who is Our God? And the attribute I want to look at today is God is unchanging. Malachi 3:6 says, I, the Lord, do not change. Psalm 55:19, God who is enthroned from old, who does not change. Psalm 102:27, but you remain the same, and your years will never end. And then if we go to the New Testament, James 1:17, every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of heavenly lights, who does not change. And then Hebrews 13:8, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So there are endless references to the unchanging nature of God. But a lot of people have difficulty in matching up the God as shown as the Old Testament and the God shown by Jesus. And in fact, one of the thinkers of the early church suggested that there were two different gods, one of the Old Testament and one of the New. But the God of the New Testament is the same God who has always been. Now, the God in the Old Testament can seem very vengeful. But listen to these words in Hosea 11. God's grieving over the waywardness of his people, and he says, to them I was like one who lifts a little child to the cheek. And that is such a picture of tender love. And then further on he says, I will not carry out my fierce anger, nor will I devastate Ephraim again, for I am a God and not a human being. And the verse we used in the previous session from Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And this is to people who were in exile, and yes, they were suffering that because of their disobedience. But God was saying, I still have plans to prosper you. He still has love for his people. What we need to realise is that God didn't suddenly appear to the Israelite people and say, here I am, I'm God, now you know all about me. He started with one man, Abraham. And Abraham learned slowly as God revealed his nature to him through Abraham's experiences in life. And it's the same for the people of Israel. Over hundreds of years, God revealed himself through their history, so they learnt more and more about him. Even their time in exile was a great learning time, because there they learned they didn't have to be in Israel to have God as their God. He was still their God, even when they were captured in another country. God's full revelation comes in Jesus, because in him we see the very nature of God, but we see it lived out in a way that we can relate to as a human being. Had Jesus suddenly come to earth without any of the history of his people, no one would have understood who he was or what he was on about. God does not change. We do. And I know that my understanding of God's changed greatly over the years, mostly recognising more and more of his love. And I'm sure my understanding will keep growing, well I hope it will, until I finally see him. God cannot be any more or any less loving, because he is love. He cannot become more holy, he cannot become less holy, because he is holiness. God's nature does not change, and this is a great assurance for us who live in an ever-changing world.